done a lot of debates against atheists and evolutionists. When you talk about the evolution of animals and species, what's your fundamental argument against the theory of evolution?
Well, I would say two things there in regard to chemistry, biochemistry, in regard to biology. Okay, first of all, life is built on DNA. And DNA is not just a molecule. To sort of understand DNA is that molecule of heredity that makes up our genes, our chromosomes, that has all the information that builds a human or a dog or a cat or whatever. And if you think about it like this, if you had two pieces of rope and you had beads, you had, say, round beads and longer beads, two types of beads. You could actually, given a piece of rope, if you know the Morse code, you can actually write the entire Bible on a piece of rope, right? A long piece of rope.
Sure.
Think about it like this, that DNA is like two pieces of rope that has all these beads on it, base pairs, molecules, arranged in a particular order, and they spell out all the information that builds a dog or a cat or whatever. First of all, you have to understand, well, where did the molecules come from in the first place? That's a whole other issue.
Sure.
When Bill Nye was asked the question at the end of the debate, where did matter come from? He said, I don't know, it's a great mystery. And so, we could ask, where did matter come from? Where did energy come from? Why does anything exist? Why does space exist? That's a whole other issue, right? It only makes sense. In the beginning, God created the first verse of the Bible. But you've got these molecules, they're arranged into an order to spell out all this information. If when you've got a piece of rope and you've got beads on the rope, if you know the Morse code, you can read the information. If you know the Morse code, they're just beads on a rope. You've got to know the code to read the DNA. So you've got to have a language. And languages aren't generated from matter by chance. It just doesn't happen. Information isn't generated from matter by chance. Information comes from intelligence. Codes are only the result of an intelligence. DNA is a complex information system and code system. It's all got to exist together or it won't work. And so that alone says, in the beginning, God. There's no way codes can come about by natural processes or information can come about by natural processes. So DNA itself is against everything that secularists would say. Matter cannot form a code, cannot form information. There's zillions of bits of information in living things. Zillions. It's not just trillions. It's right. Zillions. We've never seen matter produce one bit of information. It can't. That alone rules out atheistic evolution. And then the other aspect of it is what evolutionists would say is that over millions of years through a process called natural selection and mutation, one kind of animal changes into another. And natural selection is a process that describes what you would call speciation. And so think about this. Two dogs get off Noah's Ark. They increase in number. And over time, as they move away from each other, because the incredible amount of information in their DNA, where did it come from? God put it there in the first place.
Right.
Because of that incredible amount of information, there's different combinations of genes. Just, look at 8 billion humans. We all look a little different to each other.
Right.
Because all that information in our DNA. And as these dogs move away from each other, over here, those that have combinations for long hair survive better in colder climates. Over here, shorter hair survives better in hotter climates. As they separate from each other, you'll get different species forming. But that is because of the information that was already there. Evolution requires new information added in to get new characteristics that never were there before, to change it into a totally different kind. You never see it. What you see is redistribution of information, loss of information over time, different combinations, but never new information.
It's adaptation, not
adaptation,
evolution.
Resulting in speciation because of the information that was already there. So dogs always remain dogs. Cats always remain cats, and so it goes on.
Which is incredible, by the way, that God would design us with the ability to adapt to our environments.
And really what's happening is those that have the combinations to enable you to survive do so. Mm-hmm. Those that don't have that combination don't survive.
Right.
So that's what adaptation really is.
Yeah. But it's never been observed a change of kinds, which
right.
to me completely I believe the idea of evolution has been debunked. because
Well,
it's not observable.
when they give you examples of evolution, it'll be speciation, but speciation is not evolution. So I saw an example just recently where they were talking about, here's another example of evolution. It was just speciation. That's what it is. Speciation is not evolution. And so often people will say, but when you get new species, isn't that evolution? No, new species within a kind is not evolution. That's why make sure you use the word kind when you're talking about the animals that got on Noah's Ark. He only needed 2 of the dog kind, 2 of the cat kind.
And this is where the term missing link comes from, right? The missing link would be the link between a change of one kind to another kind. This is the missing link.
Well, think about this, Chad. What do they find? Nothing. What do they call it? Missing.
Missing. Exactly, yeah.
So the reason they call missing links is because they're not there.
But even if, and you and I obviously both strongly agree on evolution doesn't exist. It's speciation or adaptation is the only thing that does. But even if they did have the missing link, if they found the missing link, that still would not disprove creation, because God's certainly capable.
Well, they use the term missing link sometimes for a creature that they find that we would call is a mosaic, because you got to remember something that, there's what they call like the mammal-like reptiles, and they call them the missing links. Well, what are they? They're reptiles, and they have certain features that maybe some mammals have. So what? I mean, look at the platypus. A platypus has a bill like a duck and a beaver-like tail and web feet like an otter and claws like a reptile, and lays eggs like a turtle, has spurs like a rooster, and has venom like a snake. And I mean, it's a mixture of just about everything, right? It's a mosaic that God created. And so just because you find features of one kind in another doesn't mean it's a missing link. I mean, God is a creative God. And so you have all these unique creatures out there as well.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating. And, I think none of it no case would disprove a creator anyways. But yeah, I largely believe that, the idea of even Darwin, right? In the end of his days, Darwin had an admission of not.
Well, actually, we would say it's not true.
Yeah.
That's one of those urban legends that's been promulgated out there. No, we would say that Darwin actually turned further and further away from believing in God.
Okay.
In fact, in one of the biographies on Darwin, it talks about his daughter Annie, that he loved so much, and she died, and said any vestige of belief in God even left him at that stage. And so he became more antagonistic towards God. And when you look in his own writings, one of the things that's obvious, what Darwin set out to do was to try to show people that there's no God and that life can be accounted for by natural processes. So really what he did was try to come up with a way of justifying atheism. And we got to remember, evolution is a religion. It's an anti-God religion to try to explain life without God.
And he failed.
And he failed, absolutely. But the trouble is, we have many Christians today who've taken that pagan religion and tried to mesh it with the Bible.
Hey guys, 10 years ago, I had found myself in a position to where investing in Mighty Oaks and all the different things I'm involved in, I had found myself not prepared for retirement. And I went to my friend Ryan Wheelis at Allied Wealth. I'm so happy with the results for me that I asked him to partner with this show, and he is a partner of this show now. So if you're like me and you need someone to help you with your retirement, with your investments, with just your overall wealth management, go to alliedwealth.com and meet Ryan and his team to get you set up.